meet and they left. I have a problem with that. Now, I wasn't there. I don't have a child that goes to Rufus King, so let me put all of that out there. But I played high school sports and had been called racial slurs at probably half of the schools that we played football against when I went to Brown Deer High School. Okay? West Milwaukee, Slinger, St. Francis, Pewaukee, all of them called us the N-word. It would be on the field, and the referees would hear it too. What would the referees do? They wouldn't kick nobody out the game. They wouldn't throw any penalty flag. They called us every racial slur in the book. Even my white teammates that I played football with, they were called N-word lovers because they shared a team and shared a jersey with us black athletes at Brown Deer. And so here's how we respond, because we would tell the coach, say, Coach, our coach was white, George Blanchard. He passed away recently. I hope he rests in peace. And we were worried. Like, what is coach? They're calling us all sorts of racial slurs. So us black football players are telling our white coach, hey, they're calling us the N-word. Coach, what are we going to do? You know what our coach said to us? Beat them. You let them know that word is all they have, but we will dominate them on this field. You want to punish a racist? Beat them. That's why they're racist anyway. They're likely intimidated. And so there were a couple of people that were interviewed from Rufus King High School, a couple of parents that said, no, we got back on the bus and our kids left with their heads held high, our Rufus King athletes. No, they didn't. Not if you quit. Because now, see, word gets around fast. Now the kids and the administrators and other parents and coaches at Waterford High School will then probably spell it out and explain it to other schools that don't want the competition from black and brown minority athletes in Milwaukee. So if you just call them a bunch of names, then they'll just quit. I want y'all to know, when you forfeit a track meet, the other team wins. You want me to quit? You're going to have to do more and call me the N-word and call me a monkey. In fact, that is going to get me even more competitive. I will be even more motivated to beat you. Now, just a word to the wise now. When these children who suffered, it's horrible, right? Because it's awful. It's a very mean thing to do, call people racial slurs. But those young people that quit, and it probably was a decision by the adults. Oh, we're going to pack up and we're going to leave with our tails between our legs because they called us some bad names, some racial names. That is more motivation to beat them. But also, when these Rufus King High School students become adults, what you gonna do when somebody else calls you the N-word? What, you gonna walk off your job? What, you gonna quit your job? You gonna forfeit your job? You gonna forfeit your employment? You beat them. You let them know that their primitive attitudes about you gains them nothing. See, this is a win for white supremacy. If you can call the black kids a bunch of N-words and monkeys and say that we like chicken and watermelon, can we be clear? Everybody loves chicken and watermelon. Both of them are delicious. Together or separate? They know that if they can just use words, that they can get a win on the athletic field, the Waterford High School team, track team, they can get a win by calling the Rufus King High School athletes a bunch of racial slurs. From Waterford, Wisconsin, what was supposed to be a routine track meet at Waterford Union High School turned ugly for Rufus King High School athletes and their supporters on Wednesday. Rick, do we have the clip? Can we play it on YouTube or is it just audio? Oh, let's play the clip on the YouTube. So if you're...
I'm your Racine County reporter, Tahir Muhaddin. A track meet here at Waterford Union High School is at the center of a district investigation after reports emerge involving several racist remarks made towards Rufus King athletes. Coaches and parents are demanding accountability.
People were talking about how they like chicken and watermelon and, calling them monkeys. And this is from athletes, parents, coaches.
The racist taunts pushing Rufus King to withdraw from the competition and make plans to follow up with the WIA.
I'm so proud of the athletes and most importantly, the coaches at Rufus King, because they didn't react in a way a lot of people could have reacted. They didn't give them that type of satisfaction. We all left with their heads held high.
In a statement, Waterford's superintendent told TMJ4 News that the school is actively investigating the matter and that behavior that targets others based on identity has no place in their schools.
So a couple of things with that. There was a situation that took place, I think, with Bayview High School. Do you guys remember this? It happened maybe not this school year, maybe the previous school year, where something happened with Bayview High School where they were like their football team got canceled for the year. I don't know if it was a disciplinary infraction or something, but the WIAA has already, so the Wisconsin Interscholastic Athletic Association that governs all school sports, high school sports in the state of Wisconsin, has already proven that it's racist, right? So if Rufus King is going to file a complaint against Waterford High School for the use of racial slurs that caused the Rufus King High School track team to quit, they're complaining about racism to an organization that has already shown some racial bias. That's number one. Number two, do you think that the administrators at Waterford High School are going to suspend or expel any of their kids at the end of the school year? Do you think that let's be realistic now, do you think that any of those administrators at Waterford High School who are probably embarrassed about this situation, because this is not exactly good press for your school and for your school district, that other coaches and other parents and other teachers were also participating in calling the Rufus King High School athletes, all sorts of racial epithets? It doesn't look good for any of them. But do you think that Waterford is going to possibly hurt the college admissions and put blemishes on the records of their students, especially at the end of the school year? They absolutely will not. This angers me because this allows them to win by using slurs. You beat them by out-competing them, because that's what Waterford was afraid of in the first place. Now, the other thing that I noticed is there's a whole bunch of different stories, different news outlets locally covered the situation with Rufus King High School going out to Waterford and getting called all those racial slurs. The only people that were interviewed were women. So I don't know if it was just the moms that went out there to support the Rufus King High School track team, but I know this much. If it was a bunch of dads, black dads that were out there at Waterford High School supporting their students, I assure you those black dads said, we ain't going nowhere. They're not going to make us quit because they're calling us racial slurs. And this is not a slight against the women and the moms that were out there. They probably thought that they were doing the best thing for their children at that time. But here's something about being black. You're going to have to get used to it. White people are going to be glad if they call you the name, because then at least you know. A lot of times they'll sabotage you, they'll double cross you, they'll backstab you, they'll cause you to get fired from your job, and you'll have no idea. If they're using the racial slurs, at least you know where they are at. They're making it clear. They're doing you a favor, quite honestly, but you don't quit. You beat them. And even if the Waterford track team, which I just don't see that happening in a million years, would have defeated the Rufus King High School track team, at least the Rufus King High School track team didn't leave. They got back on the bus and went home. No, and maybe this is a me thing. Maybe it's because when we played West Milwaukee when I was a freshman playing football, every other word that football team called us was the N-word. We beat them like 47-2. And every time they said the N-word, we pointed at the score. And that made them even more mad. In fact, the more touchdowns we scored, the more angry they got, but the more satisfied we felt. And there was a brawl. Some of my white teammates took their helmets off and started bashing the heads and hitting the West Milwaukee players. It was white kids fighting other white kids because they were calling us, the black players, the N-word. So we kicked their ass on the field physically, and we beat them as well. And so, of course, the referees threw all the flags and the game was canceled, but we ultimately got the win as the Brown Deer High School Falcons. We beat the racists at their home field, too. And guess what happened after that? Our coach, Steve Nemechek, may he rest in peace. All my coaches are dead for some reason. He threw us a pizza party. Our football coach, when I was a freshman, he was black. He's like, that's how you beat them. You beat them on the field. And if they want to start some mess physically, you kick their asses that way, too. That is how you live your life. You do not surrender nor forfeit to them. I'm so disappointed because now these students are learning. They're learning a lesson. Both the Waterford High School students are learning a lesson and the students at Rufus King are learning a lesson. When you hear somebody call you racial slurs, just back away and quit. Take your ball and go home. That is the wrong way to approach this. You cannot back down. That also makes me think that this current generation of people that's alive, we're not equipped. Think about the civil rights movement. You guys ever seen some of those documentary footage of when they went to the sit-ins and those white racists were punching, kicking, spitting, yelling, and screaming racial slurs at the top of their lungs at those diners, those black students that went to go sit at those lunch counters? And what did they do? They sat there. They were made of steel. We're made of cotton. It's so disappointing because now I think we've just surrendered, or we've gotten so comfortable in thinking that the world was fair that whenever we hear a racial slur, we clutch our pearls and think, how can you talk to us like this? I'm just going to go home. You cannot let them win. I saw this as a missed opportunity to beat racists on their home track. And the fact that these students are now being congratulated, the Rufus King High School students, because, it could have gone a lot differently, but we got on the bus and went home. Do you know how jubilant the staff and the coaches and the teachers at Waterford High School probably were to see the black and brown kids on the Rufus King track team get on the bus and go home? They booed and racial slurred their competition off of their field, and Waterford got the win. I'm just so disappointed because what lesson is that teaching and what message is that send to both parties, both the high school kids who were called those names, and I assure you, I don't care what year we're in, they're still going to use racial slurs against us. And I would rather young people get used to it now and then figure out what your response is going to be, because first and foremost, don't quit. Why would you ever give them that win? They got 2 wins, the Waterford High School track team did. They got a victory on paper, and they were able to get black athletes out of their school just by calling them names. And maybe some of us are built different. You're going to have to do more than call me a nigger. You're going to have to do a lot more than that if you want me to leave. That will just make me more competitive and more motivated to want to beat you. But the people that were interviewed, the parents from Rufus King High School, it was all women. It was all moms. Like, we got on the bus and we had our heads held high because it could have gone a lot worse. No, actually, it could have gone a lot better had you stayed and actually outperformed. Because I just can't see nobody from Waterford unless it's like distance running. I don't see anybody from Waterford Union High School beating any track athlete from Rufus King. But maybe I see it differently. What do you guys think? Should the Rufus King High School track team stayed and out-competed them, out-long jumped them, out-high jumped them, out-sprinted them in the 100 and the 200 and the 400, or should they have just gone home? Black people, you're going to have to get used to being in hostile environments. You're living in a nation that is a hostile environment, and you can't always just quit and go home when you face these hostilities. You got to man up and you got to woman up sometimes, and you take it directly to those people that have these negative and primitive attitudes about you. Beat them, because that's the only thing that really, really hurts them, when they lose to us. So then serve them a healthy dosage of defeat. Don't quit. We're so much better than this. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. I'll be right back.